Torah tells us about the Indian of Eved Ivri, the Torah, the Gemara, and we read in Parashas Mishpatim about Eved Ivri. For 60 years, the Eved Ivri works either because he couldn't pay back and he became a slave, and the goal is that he gets to pay back and then afterwards go free. So the Torah goes into 6 years he shall work, and then the 7th year he could go free. However, if he loves his master, he's able to stay. However, if he does stay, it's not without penalty. He has to pierce his ear. And it's the famous question of the Maral Diskin, why pierce your ear now? If he stole, why does he pierce his ear? Because Chazal tells us the ear that heard not to steal, or the ear that heard not to become a slave, that you were slaves to Hashem and no one else, so therefore we pierce your ear. So the Maral Diskin asks, if it's a punishment for stealing, the ear that heard not to steal, you should have pierced his ear 6 years ago when he entered slavery. Why do we do it now? So he answers, because really the slavery should have been the punishment. That we're born free, we're able to serve Hashem and to function in a normal manner. When you're a slave, you don't control your own destiny. It's whatever your owner tells you, you got to do. Whatever your master tells you, you got to do. So therefore, really the slavery should have been the punishment. But if he's turning the slavery into a reward, this is great. I don't have to work anymore. I've got all my needs taken care of. So then it shows that the slavery wasn't a punishment, and hence now we have to give you a punishment, hence the piercing of the ear. So we pierce the ear because it's the ear that heard in Har Sinai not to steal, or the ear that said you only be slaves to me. So the question is, why dafka the ear? I mean, it's true the ear heard, but the eyes saw, the legs took me there. We could go through every limb in the body and figure out a connection. So what's so special about the ear that the Torah picked on the ear to do? Why not make a nose ring? Why an earring? And today we have piercings all over the body. Torah could have picked many places for piercing. So why dafka the ear? There seems to be something special about the ear, more so than any other part of the body. So there's an interesting Gemara in Baba Kama, Adaf Pei Hey Amid Beis 85b, which it talks, it's a different context, but fits into this Yisod. But the Gemara is elaborating about on, let's say, on the payment for loss of employment. So I'm a Rabbi, on Pei Hey Amid Beis, Kata es Yado. If he lost his hand, so what do? So you must pay him the value of his hand plus sheves, which is the general compensation for loss of employment. Or it says shibez raglo. If he lost his foot, you have to pay the meirago, the words of his foot, plus the sheves, the loss of employment, etc. Then the Gemara says simez eno. If he lost his eye, so you pay the worth of his eye in sheves. However, chirshu, if he makes his death, no single demei kuo. He has to give the victim his total value. So when it comes to your eye, when it comes to your arm, your leg, you only have to make up the value of what you lost. But somehow in chirshu, when it comes to making someone dead, it's not enough just to make up for the loss of the ear. You have to make up for everything. So what's the pshat? Why is the ear singled out? And even though it's true, we do have a concept of summa chashav kameis. The summa in a certain different context is considered like dead. As Rav Chaim Shmulevitz points out, the characteristic trait between a mitzora, someone a leper, a leprosy, someone who's an ani, someone who's poor, very poor, someone who's blind, they're all chashav kameis because they're lacking, in a certain sense, the koach of giving. That they can't give, like, of course, they all can give in their own way, but they can't give in the fullest extent, and only because he's afflicted with poverty, a blind person because he can't see, a Metzora, a leper because he's chutz chamach, and so it's true in certain chazals we find the eye is considered everything. We have special halachas even regarding Shabbos, that by Eiver Echad, there's a whole discussion what you can do, it can't do, in terms of on the Shabbos, in terms of desecrating the Shabbos. But whatever, it's a discussion what you can do, but it's clear the eye perhaps is singled out. That if it affects the eye, so then it could be considered like pikuach nefesh. So, however, in this context regarding employment, we see something. We see chershu. We see one who becomes deaf. So therefore, you have to pay to make kul. And the different answer is pashtus, because Rashi writes because he can't work anymore. So he can't work anymore. So therefore, you have to pay him to make kul. However, the Bali Musar explained, and others, then no, that's not the pshat here. Rabbi Yonah in the Shari Tshuva, that the reason why the ear is more chashuv, the ear is more important than all the rest of the limbs in this sense, is that the other ones you paid to make Eino, Rago, Yado, but here it's to make Kulo, is because what they call is the Koach HaShemiyah, that for a person to have the ability to change, Vayishma Yisro, Yisro heard, Mashmu Hashama, everyone heard. What do you mean Yisro heard? Where was everyone else? But the different levels of hearing. There's just the superficial hearing, or as they say in using a dehir, that there's a simple level, you don't really internalize it, but you hear it, like most people, or many people when they read, whether it's the signs, or it's on the packets of the cigarettes, or other things, this thing is harmful, and yet they still go ahead doing it, because they don't internalize it. If you internalize thinking, lying in a hospital bed with lung cancer, it's a whole different meaning. That's a shmiyah. But here, a koach hashmiyah, the ability to change. Without the ability to hear, it wasn't that Yisro. It doesn't say Yisro saw. Again, everyone saw. And again, in different chazals, we're seeing Eino Doma Riyah de Shmiyah. We don't compare seeing to hearing, and they're in certain ways seeing might have a greater effect. But here we see the Torah emphasizes by Yishma Yisro. Mashum Shama, he heard about Matan Torah, and he heard about Kriyas Yamsuf, he heard about all these different miracles, Muhammad Amalek, and he was able to internalize that he was the one who was, Yisro was someone looking for his truth for his whole life. And now he knows, because he tried all other religions, and then when he finally found Judaism, he knew this was it. He was a man searching for the truth. He was open to change, intellectual curiosity, whatever it might have been. But Yisro, Vayishma Yisro. That's what Rabbi Yonah is saying here. The Ozen HaShomas, the Koach HaShmiyah, the importance of Shmiyah, of hearing more than any other limb, is that it has the ability to make you change, to hear something. And in fact, that's what the Mefarshim point out, an apparent contradiction in terms of this. That we find out that the Gemara in Sanhedrin tells us, and it's a pasuk in the Chumash, in the end of Dvarim, it talks about the parasha ben Sorer Umoreh, the rebellious child. It's a chapter, it's a parak in Masechah Sanhedrin. And it talks about the rebellious child, not just any rebellious child, but the specific things about this child that he's basically, he's a drug addict, he's stealing, etc. And basically the Gemara gives very little details, very detailed, perhaps very strict details what has to happen. That's why, according to some opinions, it never was. It's just drush v'kabel schar. It's just to learn the parsha, learn behind it. But either way, so it says, Ben Soro Morer is killed, is Horeg, Al Shem Sofo. He's killed based on the end result. In other words, right now, he didn't necessarily do something which warrants the death penalty, but we see where he's heading, we see which direction he's going, and therefore he continues on this path. It will be a disaster for society, and hence we kill him now, Al Shem Sofo. That's the Gemara in Sanhedrin. However, we seem to have a different impression from a different Chazal, back by Avram Avinu, Yitzchak, Yishmael, and when Yishmael got thrown out of the house with Hagar, they went running around, and they were running out of food, and they were crying, and it says, Basher Hu Sham. So Chazal tell us that they wanted to kill Yishmael. They say, let's look into the future. All the descendants of Yishmael, how much harm it's going to cause the Jewish people, terrible things they're going to do. Now's our opportunity, preventive medicine. Let's kill Yishmael now before all these terrible things happen. And the pasuk says, no, Ba'asher Hu Sham. Sorry, it might be true, but I can't judge on what's going to happen. I mean, I can, meaning God can, but He chooses not to. Ba'asher Hu Sham. I judge him the way he is right now. Right now, he's a tzaddik, or right now, he doesn't deserve the death penalty, and therefore, I'm not going to kill him now, today, because it might happen in future generations. So we see from this Chazal, Ba'asher Hu Sham, you get judged for what you are right now. We don't care about what's going to happen in the future. And obviously, Ben Sora Morer, we see Hashem Sofa. So that's the famous kasha of the Mizrahi and others. So Pashas, you could say maybe it's a special Gzeirus HaKasuv. Really, the rule is Ba'asher Hu Sham. But Ben Torah Morer, that's an exception to the rule, Gzeirus HaKasuv, Hashem Sofa. Or as the Mizrahi suggests, perhaps a different distinction is, he says, by the Ben Torah Morer, he started in the wrong direction. It's true, he hasn't done enough to warrant the death penalty, but he has done a lot wrong. And therefore, since he started, it's already, he's guilty, and therefore perhaps we can kill him Hashem Sofo. But Yishmael, he didn't do anything yet. It's true they're going to do a lot of terrible things later, but Ba'asher Hu Sham, so if you already started in the past, so then maybe we can entertain killing you now Hashem Sofo. But if we know something's going to happen, but you didn't even begin in that path, we have no right to kill you now Ba'asher Hu Sham. However, the answer relevant to us is a different answer. That heard the name of Isaac Bernstein, who is a great Bali Darshana in England, and you have many Shir Manchumish I heard in the years past. And he points out as follows, that you know what the difference is between Yishmael versus the Ben Sora Morer. The Yishmael, it's true that he's not the greatest and things are going to happen, but ultimately he still has the Koach HaShemiyah. He still listened. When his wife, who to marry, he listened to his mother, and Yishmael, he's able to listen, even though no matter how off the derech you go, as long as there's communication, there's listening and there's dialogue, so there's always hope. And therefore, Yishmael, no matter all the terrible things we could say, he still retained the Koach HaShemiyah, the ability to listen and internalize. However, by Ben Sora Morer, there's no longer the Koach HaShemiyah. He's not. You lost your influence. He doesn't listen to anyone, anything around him. And when you lose your Koach HaShemiyah, when you lose the ability to hear, not just physically deaf, but the ability to hear, to internalize, and learn from the influences around you, the good influences, that is, so then there's very little hope, and hence Ben Sora Morer is killed al Shem Sofo. And that's the Yisod in general, the Koach HaShemiyah in all areas, but as it says in Pirkei Avos, and when it goes through the different ways, the Memches, the 48 ways, Yekona Torah, so one of it is Shmiyas HaOzen, the ability, the Koach HaShemiyah, the ability to hear, and that's the Yisod. Why was the ear picked for Eved Ivri? Why not the nose ring? Why not other rings on your body? Why not some other punishment? Because the teretz is, because once you become an Eved, you lose your Koach HaShemiyah. You lose your ability to change because you don't control your own destiny. Whatever this master tells you have to do. And that's the biggest onesh. And hence you pierce the ear that heard out of Sinai, not to steal and not to become abundant to someone else, because the whole Yisod is by Yishma Yisro, it's the Koach HaShmiya, and therefore the Torah is emphasizing that point by specifically piercing the ear to show us how important the ear is in terms of the ability to change. And if you become a slave, you continue to stay on. In the first part you had no choice, you had to become a slave perhaps. But staying on after the 6 years, you are showing you lost your Koach HaShemiya, and hence we pierced your ear.